Thanks.
Welcome to a new video. I'm here with Jens. Hi, Jens.
Hello, Martin.
It's not the first one, right?
I think we have done a few over the years.
You came from Germany to Sydney in the beginning to work for Atlassian, right?
No, I was an ex-girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's getting real personal real quick. And it's 20 years. Yeah, so 20 years ago, I met a girl in Toronto. And
from Australia?
Yeah, studying there. She was studying too. And then I went back to Germany for 3 weeks. Told my mom I'm going to go to Australia for a year. Bought a plane ticket and 20 years later, I'm still in Australia.
And how came you started at Atlassian?
I worked for a web design agency in the first couple of months in Australia. And then the business development guy at the agency, Billy, he knew Mike. Maybe they worked together in the past, and he said, "Oh, Jens, you want to do Java development? I know a company that do Java development."
You were working there, and he was giving you a new job?
Yeah, he knew that it was basically like a web design agency.
Okay, and you were over the head, kind of like with your skills.
Exactly. Yeah. So we were friendly. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm like, look
nice
at them.
Guy.
Very nice guy. Yeah. So I like.
You should be grateful to him.
And plus they wouldn't sponsor me. I needed a company that would sponsor me. So I applied to a couple other companies, and Atlassian was one of them. And actually got accepted by another company first.
Oh.
EB2 International. They built airline software.
The big one, like
it's a little
security.
Exactly. Choice. And at the time they, I think they just moved to enterprise Java Beans. I'm not sure if you remember those things. Yeah,
I remember hearing it. I only know coding for 2 years or so.
Oh, okay. So it was like a thing back then. It didn't last long, and luckily I talked to Mike and Scott, had a coffee with them just in general to learn about each other. And the company had 12 people back then, right?
Yeah.
And I never heard of Atlassian. I looked at the website.
Why did you ever leave? Like, if you're employee number 12, you should be godlike there by now. So why did you leave? And you were responsible for all things Jira at one point, right?
Yeah, Jira software. Not like that was the platform thing, and Jira Service Desk. Every Jira product had a different head of product, and then the Jira Service Desk at the end. But look, in the end, I did so many things at Atlassian. Was like so many different lifetimes. I started on Confluence, working as a developer for the first 3 years, and then we opened the San Francisco office, and I spent 3 months at a time in San Francisco. Visa-wise, that was completely okay, I think. Sometimes like,
this is not recorded.
Exactly. We don't record it. So I spent
you were stash also,
so it was later. But there, Mike put me in a room. We hired Don Brown. You remember him back then? And Mike was like, "Hey, I know you like working on Confluence, but how do you feel about doing something with Michael Knighton and Don Brown to set up the cloud stuff, the first?" So we basically in 2006 started working on that. So I left the Confluence team.
Okay.
And basically built the first version of cloud. There was Confluence evaluation. You basically were able to evaluate Confluence without setting up a server. It's just in the cloud. And a big hurdle there was actually paying customers. Stripe didn't exist back then, so we still had to first build the whole billing system. There was the first version of the billing system that we had to
And Atlassian came up with this ingenious model of saying, 10 users is not free, but we'll charge, but we'll give it to charity.
Yeah, I think that was a bit later as well, yeah. And because in server it was free, but cloud, I think we just wanted people to pay for it.
Let's stick to you. So once you left, did you know you would hire or join Sajari or Search.io, or did you decide, something sucks here? We're not going to go too deep into that, but I need something new, and then you evaluated. So how was that?
I talked to, I was already an advisor to Search.io, so the founder is a friend of mine. And we spoke on what their plans were, and it became pretty obvious that they needed someone full-time to help them scale. And
so you left Atlassian and went there directly?
Yeah, I think I took a month or two off and then started Search.io, yeah.
And I know back then some other Atlassian alumni came to us and said, do you want to invest into something that Jens does?
Yeah.
Yes, sure. What is it? And I never really understood what Sajari did. Okay, search engine, I can say. But we believed in you, and that turned out well, obviously for you as well, right?
Yeah, so it was a good outcome. Yeah, we sold the company in 2022. It was a pretty unique product, and I think one of the challenges was to differentiate it in the market without proving that it's better, because there's a lot of products in the market, and you see that probably today as well. They say AI. We have like AI search, but in reality, you have a bunch of people in low-cost countries that optimize the search algorithm to some degree for those companies. But we actually had an AI search that with reinforcement learning actually made it better. So the product was really good, and that's why I joined the company in the first place.
Okay, so then you sold, and then Jens said, oh, what am I doing? Everyone's starting Atlassian app business. I'm going to do it. No. How did that work?
I had a couple ideas. So the one idea was around kind of management. I looked at in my past and looked at where did I struggle in business, like what was hard. And for me as a manager, it was always hard to keep track of like the feedback that I give to people and doing it consistently as well. So I really was like thinking I would like to have like some coaching app that would tell me to give feedback.
I remember the survey and you involving me in that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we explored that idea for a couple of months, and then in the end didn't go ahead with it just because the go-to-market is like very hard. You have to sell it most likely into HR departments. Bottoms up is tricky, and I think it's just like hard to differentiate. Like in the end, there were like so many up and downs.
And Released is better now, or is it the same problem in a different version?
No, I think so one of the things that I discovered, I did like 30 interviews, and for most people, they basically said, oh, like that's a good idea. I like it. That's nice. I would like to try it out when it comes out, or like something along those lines. And then I read a book called The Mom Test.
Yeah.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I read it myself.
Yeah, so basically that means nothing. Like it feels like a good statement. It feels like they're interested, but there's like really zero commitment, and most likely they're just being nice to you because they know you or something like this. And when I look back at those interviews, a lot of it kind of was from that. It wasn't really a deep problem that they were looking to solve today. And what I realized is that most of the problems in management had actually to do with people interaction, like the human side. It wasn't the tool side that people lacked. And you had to, like, there's so many different tools, like for tasks, like note-taking that people use. It just was a very difficult step.
I was super surprised, and it's something that I learned a lot from when you were so knee-deep into this already.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, it's a guarantee he's going to do it. Yeah. And then one day said, no, I ditched it. So what? Really? Yeah. Like you've invested so much. That's difficult moment.
Yeah, right? We started building a prototype already. 2 months. I convinced like Adam, my co-founder now, and Stefan, who joined us now back as well, to go in, and they were also surprised because like one day I was like it's just too much up and down. I don't think it's the right idea. And if I have so much doubt already at the beginning, like it's not a fly. Versus like when we pitched the release notes idea, like everybody was like, hell yeah, I'm like, give me that tomorrow. Like that would be amazing. No, I think we discovered that for some people it's an important problem, but it's not the most urgent. It's probably like number 6 or 7 that they want to do.
I feel that.
Yeah, so it's like 6 or 7, but it's not we need to do it today.
So don't be like me. If you are watching their app, the Release Note app, Released.io, what is
SO.
Hard
to get into domain these days.
Okay, so Released.so. Don't be like me. Start doing that right away. And we had teams at Seibert who did it in a snap, right? Yeah. They abandoned the old thing, and the teams that I'm working with, they were still on old stuff that doesn't really catch it.
Yeah, but it's really good when it comes from a pain point. And I was at Search.io, we needed to communicate API updates and product updates, and I looked at the entire space. And it's what tool can actually help me find out what has changed and then turn that information into a release node. And the market has tools for it, but they only do the last part. They only do the publishing part. But the editor was like, here's a blank page, start writing your release notes now. Maybe now there was
and they don't have the editors that Atlassian have. It's more or less you can make something bold, and then you have one type of headline, and as soon as you start doing rich media, like images or videos, they grow. Oh, I mean,
that has gotten
YouTube.
that has gotten better as well. Like actually, our editor is not the Atlassian editor either. Like we.
Yeah, but you've invested quite a lot in this.
That's right. Yeah. But the but the core thing was really like actually finding out what has worked and taking that information and then transforming it. And then AI happened to come around as well. It's like, okay, well, maybe we can just take the Jira tickets and the description there and transform it into a release note or like an internal product update for stakeholders. And that just resonated really well with people.
Yeah, let's hear a short product pitch. So what is it? Which problems do you solve? What's the target group? Why do people use it? The companies that are using and paying for it, what do they love about it?
Yeah, so I think in general, more broadly, we started with release notes, but that's not the vision for the company. So our vision is to improve the communication with stakeholders and customers. Mm-hmm. That's basically it. Like, how do we help people to communicate better about their progress, about their plans?
So do we need to have a product that I'm building, or?
It can be a product, could be a project that you're working on. So we're looking at also consultants, like if they work on a project, how do they keep their customers or their clients updated of the progress that they're making?
A release for their project status quo.
Yeah, or let's like imagine that the client has like a dashboard where they see the work moving through, but you can actually provide updates on the dashboard. The customer or client can provide feedback on the dashboard as well, what they want to see. So there's I guess just like a whole bunch of interaction that can happen to improve that communication.
And you've already enhanced the product with a road mapping experience, right?
Yeah. So
is that part of the same tool, or is it a different app?
No, it's the same tool, and we're going to integrate them. So you have the roadmap that then points to the release notes where that particular item was released, so it will all fit together. So I think about it as like I call it a product communication platform or suite of tools, but it doesn't have to be just product. It can be projects as well.
I'm not that deep into the product yet, but let me try to describe it. I may be wrong. You can rip me apart, but maybe it's also a good test for you. What Released.so does is you have Jira issues that you're working on. And in my example now, we have a software product that we market as a software out there. And we want to regularly tell our stakeholders, customers, maybe potential customers, prospects, what we're building and why they should now buy. And so I am releasing a new version of my software, and that was consisting of, let's say, 10 Jira issues. Some of them are bug fixes. I'd rather not want to talk too much about this. Maybe talk a little bit or explain them with a deep link somewhere so that those that have been bothered by it can find out. But it's actually not very good marketing, so that's a small thing. But there may be 2 or 3 bigger things with, that's going to change the whole game. We're now conquering the world. And that's why we built it in the first place, right? Because we thought this is going to make the change. And now those things are just small Jira issues, maybe with 10 or 15 sub-issues, but I want it to be big. I want it to be looking bright. It should shine, glow, because I invested a lot of time with my team to build this feature. And now I have this blank screen problem normally, like how do I convert all this effort that we already did into a description that will, and your product allows me to just toss in all those Jira issues, and the better, obviously, the content is, the better the results will be. But then some AI will help me say, this could be a title, this could be a description. You don't suggest any images yet, right?
No, there's no images yet,
So the images I would have to do manually still, but at least I will have a boilerplate that will work with my release notes. And then I'll trick it and say, okay, AI can't do it, so I'll rewrite that and do that. And then you help me publish something that is beautiful and that is both a public-facing website and can be within the product.
That's right,
Okay, so that was okay so far?
I think so. To add a bit more detail, so the first step that you take is to define which tickets you want to include. So we offer a filter there, and you can use a Jira filter as well, or you can just filter by labels or issue types and say, I don't want to include subtasks because that's too detailed. Maybe not even tasks, just the stories and just the epics and maybe the bug fixes. And what you include really depends on your audience. If you have a technical audience, for example, if you build like an API tool and developers, they probably want to know about the bug fixes because they're like very in there and they want to know when something has been fixed. If it's a more business-oriented audience, then you probably keep it more high level, like you said. But that's the first step. And then we put that all into a staging area where you can see them all, and then you can decide really what will finally get added. And from the staging area, you basically say, take those tickets, you hit the generate button, and it generates a description for each of those tickets that you can then pull into the editor and then customize the text that was generated or add some text around it, introduction. So that's like one step. Or you can even define a template as well, where the template defines different sections and say, add the stories here, add like a highlights, and then add bug fixes here, or the bug fixes and improvements. So, and that all just gets generated with a single click of a button. And what's unique is not really yes, we create the description, but you can do that with OpenAI or like ChatGPT. What we do is that we do it all in bulk for all your tickets, and we allow you to customize per ticket what AI prompt to use. So as you said, for like bug fixes, just write a single sentence, just keep it short. For the stories, make it inspirational, make it 2 paragraphs. Like here's an example of what we want it to look like. So you can customize it really based on the type of information that you feed in. And I think that's the...
Let's talk about the target group. Who is that for? Who should be alarmed now and say, oh, I need to go in there and find that out?
Yeah, so who reads it or who creates it?
No, the people who buy your
buy the product.
So what's the target group?
So oftentimes, most often we talk to product managers that provide product updates to stakeholders internally, so they want other in large organizations.
Oh, is that so? It's not publicly facing. It's for most of your customers.
Like the large customers actually use it for internal updates mostly.
Yeah, okay.
And so product managers updating internally, or like when you have a smaller company, the product manager is usually responsible.
Are they creating software internally, or is it actually projects or something else that they are reporting on?
In most cases, they're building a product, or they're building a part of a product, and they want other departments to find out. They want maybe the marketing. Sales.
We broke this or whatever.
If it's like a platform team, they want to like talk about API changes. If it's a product team, they want to talk about the actual features that have been created, and then communicate it to the support team and the marketing team and the sales team, so they all know what to talk about.
How would I approach you? So obviously you can go to Seibert Media and get us help you with that, but let's assume I'm this do-it-yourself person. So what's the first step to try out Released.so?
The first step is you can come to our website and just have a look, and then from there go to the marketplace and install it, and you get a 30-day free trial. And send us an email as you go. We're like more than happy to help you. Like particularly AI is tricky. If you have used AI, you know that it's like not always like the first time creates exactly what you want, and it really depends on the description that you have.
Yeah, and for the people still on DC, that's also another reason to migrate to the cloud. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we only have a cloud version so far. But in terms of the broader vision and the need behind it as well, like at Atlassian, I was early at Atlassian. I started employee number 12, and a big part of the culture for us was to communicate with customers constantly. And you see that in Jira.Atlassian.com, where all the bug fixes and improvements are still public today. And I think early on it really helped us in the product development to have that feedback from customers, to communicate with them.
But now you think it's not serving Atlassian well.
But I think the problem is as it grows, it just becomes much harder to maintain that feedback. So if you look, I think
people complain about issues that are 11 years old and have 2,000 comments on them, and no one from Atlassian commenting, and every 2 years someone writes a boilerplate, oh, this is not on our immediate roadmap, and people say, oh, give me something more specific, so why not? And
So we usually had like an entire, like 1 PM dedicated, and like probably a couple hours a day at least for a week to like respond to new feedback that comes in. There's a lot of new feedback that people don't even see because it doesn't have votes yet, bug fixes or improvement requests, and to triage those, but also to communicate on the top, let's say 25 or 50 feature requests. And that just took a lot of time, like a lot of energy to do that. And the problem, as you say, it's like you have like all those issues, and there's always going to be a list of top 10. You resolve the top 10, then you have the next top 10, and they also have a lot of votes. And the top ones, people go and vote and reinforce it. And it might not even be the most important thing to do. Like, it's just the ones that bubble up to the top and just reinforcing itself because they're at the top. So I think like in general, it doesn't really scale that the public roadmap, and even for smaller companies, like you mentioned, some of your teams use like other tools as well.
Oh, we have teams that deliberately don't do this type of public voting because they say, oh, I don't want to build this stuff that people vote on. I want to build an awesome product. And often customers know only what they know. And as I'm engaging with so many customers, I know more, and sometimes I also know better. So I think this is backwards.
Yeah, and I think like most of those tools, like I think was it User Voice was one of the big ones.
Yeah, they were early.
This, and there's like a whole bunch of those tools that do it, but they all seem to prioritize the voting. The voting is always a big part. Oh, this has like 200 votes, vote up or down, and I think the more important part is actually the conversation that you have from customers. If you just get an upvote, you don't know the context, you don't know why they upvoted it, what are their use cases. But if you actually get them to like send you feedback and then you can follow up with questions, that's the important conversation. And that's what we're looking at with the roadmap feature as well. I think it's good to share your plans, and you don't have to share all your plans all the time. There's probably a few things that you don't want to tell and don't give away to the competition, but there's also a lot of features that your customers are asking you for, and you want to let them know what
I would be super interested in that because at this point we're using a software called candid to let people vote on features. And I like two things specifically. First, people that I didn't know of register and vote. So I get a contact to someone that I didn't know was interested in this specific part of the feature. And to be honest, the amount of conversation that we get going with those people is limited, but it happens. Sometimes we publish something that we plan to do, and then they react, and that's especially this, or specifically this qualitative conversation that we're talking about. And if you could bring that into the Atlassian world, that would be something that I find very interesting. Cool. So we all go to the Atlassian Marketplace and try out Released.so.
Yeah, that would be a good start.
You're most likely not going to join Atlassian tomorrow.
Probably not tomorrow.
What's a future plan?
We're just getting started. We have the release notes are in a pretty solid place, and I think that's another interesting tidbit. I think when I first started out with this project, I thought, we're going to build release notes, the AI piece, and probably 3 months, and then we have a good product, and we can just let it make money. It's going to be great. And then you get into this space, and you realize it's so deep. Like there's so many different requirements the customers have. Let's say like internationalized release notes where you have it in different languages, or you want to schedule it, or you want to have email notifications, you want to publish to Slack, which is like a big use case for internally, just saying, hey, I want to publish to Slack because there's a release channel internally that everybody subscribes to.
With the link then or
exactly, links back. And there's a ton of things like that people appreciate about the app, where you publish something in each block that we have. When you publish it internally, you can choose to link to the Jira ticket, so people can trace it down and back to the actual work that has been done, for example.
Yeah, cool.
But it's just like...
I built all that, please.
Yeah, well, we did already. We did build all this.
Okay, so
most of this, the internationalization we haven't, but the rest has already been
I didn't know about the Slack thing, but...
Yeah. So Slack has been built, and then we have the issue links. But it's just very complex. When you think about release notes, it's so simple. There's like analytics that we want to build to give people insights, like how many people are actually reading this, and what's the feedback? Do they like it? So what's the engagement?
Cool. Yeah. Jens, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you again.
Yeah, ditto.